Welcome to 613. What they didn't teach you in school. I'm Alfonso Cuadra. We have an excellent show. We're going to talk about tech business. We're going to talk about crypto. We're going to talk about making money online, some trends, and we have our local tech expert, Sashien. How you doing, my friend?
Good to see you, Alfonso.
You are an expert in tech and crypto, and you just came back from Singapore.
Yes.
Tell us about the Singapore experience.
Singapore was awesome. I was there for about probably 3-4 days for a quick event over there. Seamless Asia, so there's a really large payments conference. They do a lot of tech. So we talked about like cashless economy in the future, what's happening in tech. It was pretty awesome. I had a panel discussion, also a discussion on blockchain and how that's being used, and also disrupting the identity market.
Well, I hear a lot of, not only me, the world is hearing a lot about crypto and how things might be shifting towards that. Is that what you find?
I think crypto is going to be an awesome sort of hedge against the market. There's going to be a lot of different ways in how we can utilize these methods of payment almost. It's sort of like a non-productive asset at this point and something that's maybe coming about. But I think it's sort of like a hedge against the rest of the market and what's going to happen. So it could fundamentally sort of change the way that we interact and how do we use these types of payment forms to utilize on a daily basis.
And what people don't realize, I find, is the technology is what's great about it. The blockchain technology, which it's been around for a long time. It's can you explain blockchain? It's just basically a ledger, right?
Yeah, it's like a distributed ledger. So it's basically a technology or a system that we can utilize to create these kinds of transactions. So it's sort of peer to peer.
And the interesting thing about that is that you're taking out banks.
Exactly. So it's sort of
like if we exchange $1 between me,
exactly.
Someone's making money from that exchange.
Exactly.
With crypto, who makes money?
Well, the thing is with these types of transactions, like you mentioned, like my family's from Sri Lanka, so we, if we were sending money through Western Union, let's say, they would take obviously a large chunk of that money because of the fees. So if we utilize maybe cryptocurrency, it could be a means for these people and our families or relatives to be able to get this money and not have to pay those types of fees because it's all basically through this ledger and this distributed sort of system. So it's not connected to the banks or any sort of central mediary.
Taking out the banks.
Exactly. Not to take them out, but a sort of, again, another hedge, another way of sort of getting out to these different methods.
Well, you can imagine there would be some resistance.
There would be. Yeah. They're also incorporating some of their own sorts of currencies as well, different kinds of crypto.
Venezuela's doing a cryptocurrency.
If you think of like an economy like that, they're obviously in a tough time, and Bitcoin could be something that could obviously definitely benefit them entirely.
There's African countries that were doing it 10 years ago. They were exchanging money through text. Yeah. So that technology has been around.
It's been around, It's sort of being revolutionized, you could say.
So how did you start? Like, what's your story? How did you become the tech expert, the crypto expert in investments and things like that?
So I've been actually trading stocks for about a few years now. So that's kind of what got me going into the sort of the investment world. I found that there was such a large emphasis and amount of time that sort of looked at to get involved with that. But I also saw the sort of the risk and the return sort of adjustment too. So I thought, what could I sort of look at that could be the next big thing? And I sort of like taking bets. I would say I'm maybe a risk taker being an entrepreneur for about 8 or 10 years now. And I found that, taking bets on these types of technologies and things could be like the next big thing that I could get into. And I thought, if I could get that going and be really good at it, I can also teach others to do the same. So in our investment company, we look at sort of ways that we can get on these new technologies and sort of be at the forefront of what's happening in the industry and what's coming up next.
I love it. So you started 8 years ago. You were at school.
Yeah.
You look like a young man. Yeah. 8 years ago, you might have been what, 12? I'm not just joking. I'm just joking. But no, you were a young man. You were in school. Yeah. Someone watching this program right now, it's maybe in school or graduating school or just got out of school, and they're just trying to get their feet wet and trying to understand the world and business. How can someone get involved in tech specifically and leverage, crypto, tech, and those technologies and what's coming up next?
I think there's honestly, there's so many groups now online. We were talking about this earlier too. There are so many online groups now. There's so many online marketplaces. There's, Tech Tuesdays now. There's lots of tech entrepreneurs. You could just go book a trip over to Silicon Valley if you really want and just explore what's happening in the Bay Area and all these companies that are in crypto or in tech in general. I've been fortunate enough to be able to be in Silicon Valley so many times throughout the year now and see all these major companies like Amazon, Google, and a lot of the things that are happening in the crypto world as well. So there's honestly so many different resources online, but you can honestly just make a quick trip out to some of these places and sort of explore. The traveling thing has also been something that I've been doing for so much time now, and I found that just being in Singapore alone, I've learned so much about the economy and how clean it is and what they're even doing in the banking world, which is so different from what we're doing in North America alone.
What in specific?
I would say like a lot of their stuff, again, it's becoming a lot of cashless, right? So, I mean, obviously North America, we're looking at a lot of those things too, but I would say India and Singapore, all these different countries are far beyond ahead of what we're doing in North America.
It's almost like some countries almost skip a lot of steps.
There are.
Where for us, it's like,
Yeah.
we went from this to this to this. It's kind of hard to change habits, right?
Yeah.
Some countries in Africa went from never having a landline right to a cell phone,
Exactly.
right? So they skipped all those steps. It seems like, the technology is moving so fast that some third world countries could be better equipped to handle a change than the Western world.
Yeah. I mean, even if you think about Sri Lanka, I mean, we were looking at Wi-Fi a few years ago, and that's obviously been strengthened in terms of what they're doing with the signaling and the telecommunications network over there. And it's amazing now. I could walk in Sri Lanka now and have so much adoption to all these different technologies and seeing how these things are being affected to just my family alone and all the different businesses that are there. So there's a lot of incorporation with the fintech stuff and all the things that are happening with telecommunications as well.
So let's go back to when you started. If someone wants to get started, so you tell go travel, whatever. Mm-hmm. But what is one specific step that someone watching this program can take today that will bring them closer to their tech dreams or the business dreams in the tech field?
I'd say in the tech field, I mean, I would say find a mentor, find someone that you could obviously work with. We talk a lot about networking. Networking is such a big thing. In school, I already saw so many ways to sort of channel out and get out in the business world, but I think school never really taught me to really find that network and how to get there and how it's all sort of done. And I think you have to sort of, like they say, you have to trip over yourself, fail a few times, just be able to go out there and learn from people and what's going on out there in the real world. And the internet's obviously great for that. The school gives you those fundamental sort of skills, and it kind of keeps you in that box. But when you go out there in the real world, you see what's happening, what's going on, who are those major investors, who are those top guys in the tech world, why are they doing it, why are they so good at it? It's because they're always learning, they're always understanding what's happening, and that's because they're always iterating and reiterating. So you have to sort of be open to be able to go out there and learn and always feel confident and just be able to absorb and adapt everything that's happening in the marketplace, because it's always changing, especially in the tech world.
No, it's so true. So what are you doing specifically? What's your company? Mm-hmm. Tell us all about what you're doing. We'll share with them. They can follow you. So what
So Enigmatic Investments is sort of like a private investment pool. So, I mean, a lot of companies focus on real estate and sort of large fixed term assets. We sort of look at more like the stock market and things that are happening in crypto. And I think that's obviously something that's more geared to what we do as younger investors. But having been immersed in tech for so long, that's a lot of what we focus on too. So we're sort of like a private investment pool. We pull together capital. Myself, I do with a lot of the resources. I look at all the different things that we can sort of estimate to be maybe the next big thing. And we sort of pull our capital together, and it's really good value for the investors and obviously for someone who's sort of leading that pack. We want to be able to build a really good track record. So our goal really is to pool and harness capital into very good, unconstrained sort of businesses that will obviously change the world.
So how can someone invest in crypto, for example? Yeah. Could they invest in a pool like yours, where are you invested in multiple different cryptos?
So we've sort of looked at a couple of the major ones. Obviously, Bitcoin, Ethereum are sort of the larger ones right now. There's so many altcoins and other ones.
And there's more coming out. I mean, every day.
But I think like at this point in time, it's just a time where there's so many things happening at once. You sort of have to bog down and look at sort of like the one or two or maybe three that are the top. I think Bitcoin, Ethereum might be those two. We obviously have our own accounts as well, so people that work with us, they can dabble into sort of those crypto accounts and have some of the stuff set up with us as well. So we pool a lot of that capital into stock and also into crypto as well. So we can basically have it set up in that way.
So someone that does not understand crypto, and if they still want to access or leverage or make money in that field, or if they believe in it, they could just reach out to you, and you can kind of show them.
We give resources. We help people understand.
Yeah. So what we're going to do? We're going to put his website and all your contact information in the comments below. You can reach out and It looks, I mean, to me, it's like the Wild Wild West.
It's honestly,
It's still the beginning.
It's still the beginning, and people are sort of reluctant to think like, what's going to happen with cryptocurrency? What's going to be the next big thing? Can it crash? And I'll tell you honestly, this thing could crash. Anything could happen in the market right now. But to think that this is a hedge against the stock market and other sorts of things that are out there in terms of trading, we could think that cryptocurrency could be something that's going to obviously change the world.
Wow.
So I'm prepared as an investor to sort of dabble in and put maybe a few percent of the portfolio into something like that, because it's not correlated to sort of the market itself. But I think that honestly, this stuff could be something that could be powered to be utilized for sending money to our family, our relatives, or it could just be something else that could be correlated to, just changing in the way that we use credit cards, debit cards, another method of payment. It could be used for your next jet purchase, Alfonso,
Well,
your next jet ride.
yeah, no, for sure. Jet fuel. Buy some jet fuel
We're seeing
and
a lot
crypto.
in real estate too, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I think in Toronto alone, there was 34 bitcoins that was sold off for a condo that was probably worth about $450,000.
Wow.
Or Miami.
Since I have you here, and we could talk about this for hours, but since I have you here, what are some trends that we should be looking at?
Trends right now, honestly, I think augmented reality is such a big business right now as well. Virtual reality, people are loving the gaming world. I also think that subscription-based model businesses or SaaS businesses as well are also really popular. So you're looking at like Spotify, just went public recently. YouTube's obviously a great business as well, but we've seen obviously Shopify, just an amazing business.
Incredible.
Right now. Everyone's using it, and I think you're building an online store too, you're just telling me. So
Yeah. No, e-commerce is
such a
definitely,
huge
yeah.
business now.
And you don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So lastly, I want to ask you, what didn't they teach you in school?
Honestly, what they didn't teach me in school was to basically just sort of leap out there and go out in the real world and sort of find my path. And I think that's honestly the best piece of advice I could tell anyone right now. Just go out there, find a mentor if you're building a business. Because honestly, when I started, 8 years ago, let's say, I didn't have any mentor. I just sort of found some pieces and try to figure out things out. And that's fine too. But you sort of have to go out there, find your network, because that really is your net worth. And it can find you clients, it can find you people to work with. It could, allow us to do things like this. That we sort of stumbled upon over the years as well, knowing each other. So I think you really have to just go out there and find the people that you can work with and build your network, because that's something you won't get in school whatsoever.
Thank you for coming on the show, my man.
Thank you.
And you know what? We learned a lot during this episode. Your network equals your net worth. 613. Like us, share us, love us. You have see everything down below. And we'll see you next time.